Oh, let's see. Once upon a time, I actually, because I had kept saying that I thought that I bought in at first in July, but that's not true. I found out that my first time buying Hex was May. So I'm coming up on my 1 year Hexiversary pretty soon, like in 10 days. Before that, I had a very limited knowledge of crypto. In fact, I was also trying to find this information for this interview because I was like, I knew you were asking about my origins with crypto. And it looks like from when I was reading through my emails, I started a Binance account back in like December of 2017. And that was the first time that I did anything within the crypto realm. And I believe I just purchased a fraction of a Bitcoin. I had heard, I definitely like had known about it for a while. I like telling the story that I had a boyfriend that bought drugs with Bitcoin back in like it had to have been 2011, 2012, something like that, really, really early on. So I knew about it. I was in the tech world and, I had heard about it. But I basically I did the Binance thing. I bought a little fraction of a Bitcoin and then just did nothing with it. A few months later, I was in Puerto Rico, and my good friend who I met through the drum and bass scene out here in Austin, we would go to the same shows together and dance. Community knows him as Crypto Kool-Aid. He he caught on that I had bought some Bitcoin and was like, hey, I know you're interested in crypto. Let me tell you a few things. And I actually kind of went back. I went way back through the chats because I was just trying to figure out like, well, what did I do back then? And I bought Cardano. So I traded some Bitcoin for Cardano.
Richard's favorite.
I think I probably put some money in a few other little things too. And then because I was just living this island life and not really thinking about finances too much, I just let it sit. I didn't touch it. I didn't look at it. I didn't do anything with any of these coins for the next, let's see, 4 years. So it just sat there. I may have made a shit ton of money and then lost a bunch and not even known it. And I was fine with that. So eventually in around this time, a little earlier than like March of last year, gosh, it feels like so much longer than that. I was selling my home for totally unrelated reasons. I wanted to pay off my student loan debt. I was tired of, I wasn't living in it. It was a rental property for me. So I was tired of the upkeep and didn't really want to do that. So I started researching finance because I knew I was going to have some capital. And after paying off my student loans and my debts, I wanted to be really wise about where I was putting my money. And I wanted to make sure that I would be set for my future. So I looked into opening a Roth IRA. I looked into a high yield savings account. I looked into options trading. And through all that, I think Kool-Aid had started to kind of be like, hey, you want to put some money over here? Hey, there's this thing going on over here. So I started paying attention and listening, and I was like, okay, I definitely am not opposed to crypto. Obviously, like I had some. He was basically like, take all the money that you put in all those little coins and put that into Hex. So I did that. And that's probably what I did in May. That was my first buy, was the trade. Yeah. I took what I had, that little, that I had at that time, and I traded all that for Hex in May. And then as I learned, because, he's Kool-Aid's, good friend of mine. I trust him, but I love that he was just like, hey, don't listen to me. You know me, we're friends. You need to listen to the people in the community. So he turned me on to Whales Only One and Crypto Coffee. And I started listening to their streams. Oh, big shout out to Whales. I mean, he was super instrumental. I'd like to say that Kool-Aid gave me the pill, and Whales Only was the one that, I was like, all right, I'm swallowing this now. Like, okay, I've taken the pill. Like I'm on this path now. So that is where I got into Hex. I didn't have any clue about Richard Hart. I'd never heard of the guy. Most of that, for that 6 months after investing, I just listened to Whales Only for the most part. I went back and went through his old streams and listened to as much as I could. And eventually, I think I started to see Richard's unboxing videos, and I was like, who's this guy? And upon seeing that, I wanted to know more because, I had and as many people who are no coiners or don't really know about crypto come into this, they'll Google Richard Hart and those shitty
Mm.
articles will come up and they'll just be
I
like, this
used
guy's
to.
a
It's
scam
gotten a lot
artist.
better. It's
I'm
gotten
glad
a
I
lot
haven't done
better.
it in a minute, so that's good to hear
Mm.
because it was just I was like, well, what's up with this dude? Like, I trust Kool-Aid, I trust Whales Only and what he's saying. Do I trust Richard Hart? So I started to dig in and I wanted to know more about him. And that's how eventually I found Scivive. I can't recall exactly what path led me to Scivive, but I found
Mm.
it and I was like, okay, here's a book that this man has written. Apparently it's got all his beliefs. And I guess that's something that I should know if I'm going to promote and, be a part of this community. I want to know really who he is and, who is this man behind these things that I'm investing in.